Magic Mason Greenwood to the rescue. Manchester United 3, Burnley 1. A hard-fought game, it must be said. It really, really must be. But Man United make it their 5th league win on the bounce. One more victory against Leeds, and it's the best winning streak of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign. Cavani, 3 goals, 3 games. Young Mason Greenwood, he's really back amongst it now. That is 5 goals in his last 6 matches for Manchester United. I'm so happy that he's found his feet. Birthday boy Donny van der Beek also came on, made a cameo appearance, and the game changed almost instantly. Heavily involved himself in the third and final goal. And do you know what? That third and final goal for me, it was the epitome of the togetherness of this Manchester United team. Because Greenwood could have been selfish and gone for the hat-trick. No one would have blamed him. Bruno, I think we all thought he was going to shoot and try and get his goal because all he cares about is assists and goals and not the team. But he squares it to Donny. Donny could have taken a touch, opened his body up and shot because it's his birthday, because he barely gets an opportunity. But he made the right decision and he squared it, and Manchester United won. In fact, the same could be said for the opening goal. Rashford run and bit of skill was brilliant. He passes it to Bruno unselfishly. Rashford always shoots. Squares it to Bruno. I thought Bruno was going to have a shot. His dummy was majestic, and we score. Barring the deflection for the second goal, a little bit fortuitous, both those goals for me showed the togetherness of Manchester United as a football team, and it was excellent. Was it overall an amazing display? No, there were patches where Burnley were better than Man United. Awful, woeful defending from Harry Maguire for their equaliser, there's no doubt. We really struggled with long balls over the top today. We need an organiser and a commander, there is no doubt about it. Henderson, I really enjoyed seeing him in a Man United kit today. I don't know what was wrong with him. He was like a man. He had a bit of Jordan Pickford about him today, do you know what I mean? Just stay on your line, bruv. Don't need you right now. Stay back. Do you know what I mean? Coming out like he's scrappy-do. We didn't need all of that. But in the end, United get the 3 points done. Puts us... Leicester are kicking off in half an hour's time in the FA Cup. It gives Man United now a 10-point lead over third place. Top 4 pretty much done and dusted. Second place is looking like it could be done as well. Man United now get their first midweek rest since the restart of last season. It's been an epic amount of football for Manchester United. But overall... overall, it was a solid performance from United. We got the job done. So many little wins for people. Donny's assist, Pogba's assist, Greenwood with a brace. What I loved about Bruno's performance today is that he only scores and assists today, heavily involved in the build-up to the 2 most important goals for Manchester United, in my humble opinion, sealing it and, of course, getting ourselves into the lead. Is it vintage? Is it the best Man United we've ever seen in our lives? No. But we're second in the league for a reason, because we are the second best team in England. People have just got to learn to deal with that. We're going to open up the lines for you to come on and have your say. We will be discussing briefly in today's show about the European Super League that's causing a ripple effect right the way across football. We're going to bring the panel in one by one to do their kind of fan cam. Then we're going to have a bit of a panel. Bring them in for the fan cams, then have your calls, and then bring them on for a bit of a panel element as well. But what you need to do for me is smash those like buttons. I'm going to do some of your live comments first, because remember, you, the viewers, are the most important element of the football terrace. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. You can still get 20% discount off of all their male grooming products. The link's in the description below. Comment here says, star boy equals generational talent. But Mason Greenwood Mason Greenwood, officially now, after these 2 goals, is the highest goal-contributing teenager in the top 4 leagues in Europe. The Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, Premier League. Nobody has outgunned or created Mason Greenwood this season. And they told us he's having a bad year. Best teenager in the top 4 leagues in Europe. That means he's the best teenager in Europe, because he's doing it at the very highest level. Don't write Mason Greenwood off. He's still a baby and a fledgling in football. He is going to be a superstar. Comment here says, no mentality improvement under Ollie. Teams we always struggle against since Fergie. We have washed aside with ease West Ham beat them thrice. I mean, maybe twice you mean there. Thrice, so you said looking 3 times. I don't know. Everton twice. Should have been 3 flat first doubles over Burnley. It's the first home win over Burnley in 6 years. Burnley have caused Man United problems on many, many occasions. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Cedric here says Henderson wearing a cap must be the first keeper since before Fergie to do that at United. I haven't seen a goalie in a cap for a long time, but he did today. He'll want to forget about today, Henderson, to be fair. He needs to calm himself down a little bit. Maybe a little bit of youthful exuberance we can give as the excuse. Shirik here says, we see it time and time again. We play quick tempo football and drop off. Today, it was after we scored. Well, we started the game well. The first 20 minutes, we moved the ball well. We were opening them up. We had some half opportunity to score, hit the post, etc. And I thought, we're on for a good performance. And then we dropped off. Start of the second half, it was good. We then conceded. And then we were very good again. Rashford, I thought, was having an excellent game on the left-hand side. He was making great inside passes for overlaps and underlapping runs from Luke Shaw. He had a wonderful bit of skill where he nuts the man. His shot was blocked. He done some really good things after that. We created opportunities through Luke Shaw. Bruno Fernandez's header well saved by the keeper, Peacock something or other. I wasn't sure of his name, to be fair. I didn't realize it was Nick Pope until halftime, until somebody else said his name. And then we dropped off again, and it's hard. That's where we need to get better. And for me, that's a player issue. That's a quality issue throughout the course of the whole team. But the substitutions were good from Ollie today, there's no doubt. Cavani on early. Donny, I'd have probably liked Donny 10 minutes earlier, and you saw the impact that he had today. He was very, very good, and I'm really, really happy for that man. There's no doubt. We're going to start these fan cams now. We've got Elite KJ, we've got Cam, we've got Neeks, we've got Johnny backstage. We're going to do them one by one, then take some of your calls, and then get the panel on to discuss United, but more so this Super League announcement. Supposedly tonight, 9:30, a brand new tier of European football is going to be announced. Although it can't actually go ahead yet because the Premier League, as an example, have to give permission for their clubs to participate, and they've already kind of said no. We'll get into what we think of that a little bit later on in the show. Someone here says 21 is still alive. Do you know what, right? Trust me, if City was to lose midweek, the media will start pushing that notion straight away. Don't allow yourselves to get sucked in. It is nigh on impossible. And that's nothing to do with Man United or Ollie. It's just nigh on impossible for Man United from this point. We're going to jump into the first call-up. We're going to get KJ on to give us his thoughts on today's performance in isolation. KJ, welcome back to the Terrace, mate. How you doing?
I am happy because my star boy, my gunman, you know what I'm saying? My generational talent, Mason Greenwood, doing what he does, which is bag goals. You know what? Yeah, he had a very tough start of the season. And to see what he's doing now, coming from the end of that, coming out of that, coming stronger, more focused, we love to see that. And today, he had a beautiful, beautiful performance. He almost got an assist with for McTominay towards the end. His passing was good. His dribbling around was on the right hand side was good. He was putting balls into the box for strikers to try and get onto the end of it. It was just a beautiful day, and him and Rashford today, I want to say I give him some thumbs up as well because he was amazing on that left-hand side. He started off centrally today, if anyone noticed. You could see that he was trying to make those runs behind, being caught offside. We know he's not that kind of. We know he's not a striker. Put him back on that left-hand side where he starts with the ball at his feet, coming into the middle area. Beautiful. The amount of flicks and tricks and things. He was Mega Man left, right, and center. That assist was beautiful. Nutmeg, round the back, put it in. Bruno, great awareness, and Mason with a beautiful finish. And then obviously the last goal at the end was wonderful. But yeah, man, super happy for Mason Greenwood. And to be fair, not bad for a kid who's probably overrated, not good enough, not better than Dan James, and shouldn't be playing for United and should be out on loan. Pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good. But big up Mason Greenwood, big up Marcus Rashford today. 2 excellent performances. And we go again. We'd love to see it, man.
No, absolutely, mate. And listen, anyone who thinks that Dan James is a better footballer, and I'm not even attacking Dan James. Dan James is what he is, but Mason Greenwood is absolute levels. He has the ability to go on and be an absolute superstar. And you know what? He had a really tough start to the year, mainly for personal reasons. You know, the media coming after him every 5 minutes, and I think Ollie has protected him valiantly. and he's now released him back. It's almost like like nurtured a young animal behind the scenes and then released him back into the wild. And, he's gone out there. He's a tremendous footballer with bags of ability. And I'm so happy he got that brace today.
Yeah, I'm very happy. And also one last thing before you switch me out. Bon Brexit FC. Yes, bro. Don't forget, I want these guys in the mud. The fact that we destroyed them, got the 3-1 in the end. Beautiful. Bon Burnley, Bon Brexit FC. I hope they get relegated. There we go.
All right, mate. We'll catch you in a little while, mate. See you in a few moments. Make sure you're hitting that like and that share button, people. We're going to put the link out for you to call in a few moments' time. So stay with the Terrace. Stacey here with the Super Chat says, I'm just happy we beat Burnley because I really, really dislike that team with a passion. Can't stand them. Echoing very much there what KJ just said. Super League is rank. Yeah, we'll have a little look at that in a minute. Next on the show, we've got Man Like Neeks. What you saying, bro?
Yes, Terry. 3 points, 3 goals, 3 points. Good weekend for Manchester United. I mean, for me, the top 4 race was already done and signed, sealed, and delivered. I think second place is done. I know Leicester got a game in hand, but Leicester aren't catching 10 points on us in their last, they've got 7 games left. They're not catching that. So second place is done. And as I said previously, I want us to just have a good, strong finish to the season. And I think today was a good performance. Defensively, we struggled. And it's partly credit to Burnley because we know how Burnley play. Burnley are the team who they're gonna get rough, get up in your face, long balls in there, and all their men are big. Like other than maybe McGinn, I don't think McGinn played today, or there was another guy, maybe Brownhill. Everyone else, they're fullbacks, they're strikers, midfielders, they're all tall. So anytime they get a set piece, we know it's going to be problems. They won every ball, but we still should have dealt with some of them a bit better. Whether it be the keeper or whether it be the centre backs, Maguire specifically, he makes a good tackle to prevent a shot on goal for the corner, and then he gets caught under the ball from the corner, and we concede straight away. It was frustrating up to that point because we had scored a goal that we deserved to score, and we concede straight away. But I think they showed enough character. Because what I felt there might be a case of, we're not in the top 4 race, we're not going to win the title. If this meanders out to a draw, nobody really cares. But they kept going. Solskjaer made positive substitutions, both at halftime and then bringing Van der Beek on. And then even, if I'm correct, he didn't even bring on a defensive player when we went 2-1 up, which he sometimes does, and then like a Matic or something like that, and we end up conceding late. No, he just let the players stay out there, and we could have got 3 more earlier than we actually did. So overall, competent performance, and we did what we had to do.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Do you know what I find interesting about Burnley's style of football? It's effective to a degree at this level because I don't think any of the top teams, as an example, spend any time in training practicing balls being crossed into the box with players getting smashed about. So we're not gonna spend a session where it's like, Maguire, you're not gonna be the defender for 5 minutes. I just want you to smash and bully the centre backs for an hour in training. And I think sometimes it's hard to. Sometimes I feel like we're better off dealing with a more intricate team than we are a kind of spit and sawdust team, as I'd like to refer to them as, in relation to that. And it's difficult. That was the only element tonight where they looked dangerous with those long balls. Outside of that, large areas were comfortable. But as you said, Mason getting his brace, Donny getting an assist, Cavani scoring again. Remember, it was only just under a week ago where he said playing with Cavani is like playing with 10 men.
Yeah. I think, listen, for me, Cavani, Solskjaer spoke earlier today, or at least the interview came out earlier today, the quotes saying that he doesn't think Mason is ready to be leading the line. So we have to keep Cavani next year or go out and get strikers, one or the two. We can't afford to lose Cavani and go into next season with Mason and Martial as our 2 number 9s. On top of that, I was slightly disappointed that Van der Beek didn't start. Not because people are like, it's his birthday. I've never known a manager to pick a player purely because it's his birthday. So forget that. But just because, I know, and then the same people will say, Sentiment FC. But anyway, he played, for me, his best 45 minutes against Granada on Thursday. He hasn't played often, so it's not even the case of, he might be tired, anything like that. But what I really wanted was more attackers, more creative players on the pitch. We're playing against Burnley, who aren't going to be ticky-tackying around us. So I was like, well, you put Greenwood Rashford, then you have Bruno. Oh, yeah, because Cavani's on the bench. Bruno, Pogba, and Van der Beek to create as much as possible for the two, goal scorers, the forwards, the Rashford and the Greenwood, who we have up front. I was happy that Solskjaer realized that Burnley weren't offering nothing on the ground, on football terms, that he took off Fred at half-time and brought on another attacker to make us go forward and score the goal. So it was good that he identified early and earlier than he usually does. But I was actually disappointed that Van der Beek didn't get a start today, because I think on the back of the Europa League game, why not?
No, I would have liked to see him start as well. And at the very least, give him maybe an extra 10, 15 minutes as well. But, his last two performances, I feel like we've seen a little sank. You know, a little something from him that he's adapting, getting stronger, getting used to it.
But the reality is, if you look who he's played with when he's come on. He hasn't been a straight replacement for Bruno. Because people are like, can they play together? Can this person play together? His best performances, granted, he came on for Pogba on Thursday, but his best performances for us and best moments have been when Pogba, Bruno, and himself are on the pitch, or Bruno, Mata, and himself. When he has those quality players around him, that's when we see the best the best Van der Beek. You're not going to see him drag a team like Bruno does, a team of mediocre technical ballers. In that way, he needs that quality around him, because that's what he's been grown up on.
110%. Neeks, we'll get you back on with the panel a little bit later on, mate. Top man, thank you. Viewers, keep smashing that like and that share button. Adam Matic is backstage as well now. Johnny and Cameron. Wait, we've got Johnny coming on now. Johnny, welcome. Hey, Terrace, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Look, United just won 3-1. Second place looking more and more secured. Give me your thoughts on the performance today and the manner of the victory.
Oh, I feel really strange about this one, Terry. I thought the performance was okay. I thought in parts we were shit, and I thought in other parts we were good. It was very middle of the park performance. I thought Bruno were largely anonymous today, but apart from his header that he nearly scored, that I thought, in my opinion, that's the only thing he did. I thought Pogba wasn't good, but it was bright in parts. I thought it was bright. I thought he was trying. I thought Rashford. I thought we saw the best and worst of Rashford today. I thought Rashford was good. I thought, there's times when you want him to shoot and he complicates it and he cuts back. And there's times when you want him to pass it and he shoots. And then there's a link-up play with Luke Shaw, which I thought Luke Shaw was brilliant today. So, if Rashford can just, be more decisive in what he wants to do, I think he'll be a better player for it. I'm not going in on him. I thought he played well largely, but there's some things that, that irritate me about Rashford. McTominay, how he stayed on that pitch for the whole game, I thought was a disgrace. I thought McTominay was shit. Really poor. I weren't happy that Olive gave Van der Beek 7 minutes. Look, he gave him 7 minutes and he had an impact. But imagine what he could do if he'd have brought him on with half an hour. And given that McTominay was shit, stop swearing. Given in my opinion McTominay was poor, I just think that was an opportunity to bring Van der Beek on, but he didn't do it. But credit to Van der Beek, even within the 7 minutes, he had an impact, and I was so happy for him. Greenwood, I thought Greenwood were bright today. I did say I'm not going to backtrack. I thought Ollie got away with murder today. I did say that. I said it on my match reaction, and I've said it on here too. I thought he got away with murder. That deflected goal from Greenwood gets us ahead. And obviously then the goal from, I believe it was Cavani that put it in from Van der Beek. I'm watching United at a minute, and I'm just not convinced by them. I'm just not convinced. They don't convince me. Now, I can't go in on all too much because there's not many teams that play Burnley that play flawless, beautiful football. I think even Man City struggle against Burnley. So Burnley's just one of them teams that most teams struggle with, and I don't know why it is. So I ain't really going in Ollie today because it's not one of them days. But look, we've got the 3 points, and we'll move on.
And if we beat Leeds, it's the longest winning streak in the Premier League since Fergie retired.
That's nice, and it is nice, but it don't mean anything without if it doesn't amount to all. So does
it mean there's been improvement?
Well, I mean, you'd have to say yes, wouldn't you? I mean, on the face of it, but when you dig deeper into this unbeaten run, there's a lot of 0-0s in there, mate. A lot of 0-0s. I'm being realistic about it.
This would be six wins on the bounce. We haven't done that since Fergie retired.
It's 6 wins, but it's not 6. It's not 6 convincing performances, is it? It is 6 results. It is, but the performances are not convincing at all. Let's be real about it. They're not.
I'm asking your opinion. If you think,
in my opinion, yes, we've got 6 results. Good, but when the results do not match up with the performances, they don't. We don't dominate teams, and I just want to see us for just 90 minutes, not even 90 minutes, 75 minutes. Just
I hear your opinion. A lot of detractors will say it's not sustainable the way we play, but the improvement has been progressively getting better now for 15 months. How long can this improvement continue to happen until people admit that it is sustainable? How much? So forget you don't like the performances. My point is, a lot of people say performances aren't good enough, so it's not sustainable. If we get another 6 months, another year of pulling out this volume of results, improving our position in the league, winning more games than we draw and lose in this upward spiral we've been on, how long until you say, well, actually, look, the improvement has been there and it's what? Like, what do you need to see? Just trying to understand.
There's one thing that Rick the Red. There's one thing that me and him that I do. He don't know I agree with him, but I do agree with him on is, and everyone says, not everyone, but Rick says it is that these performances are not sustainable, and I agree with him. Yet miraculously, they've been sustainable this season, and nobody can deny that. Even I can't deny that. I'm the biggest Ollie out of going, but I can't deny that. But I genuinely believe.
How long until you say the way we are playing it? How much more wins do you need to see until you say it is sustainable?
That's like a question I can't answer, Terry, innit? I can't really answer that question.
Yes,
I'm not dodging it. I'm not dodging it. I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm just saying, you watch the performances, yeah? And whether you're Ollie in, Ollie out, or on the fence, when you watch it, we're not convincing, but yet still we come away with either the point or the 3 points. Because like I said, we haven't lost in ages. So like, logically,
I hear you on that. I'm just trying to understand.
It's like a bit of a Rubik's Cube, Terry. Honestly, it's like a Rubik. I can't work it out.
I hear you. I ask questions because I want to understand people's psyche. Stay backstage for me, mate. I want to get you on the panel. Talk
no problem, mate.
A top man. Speak to you in a bit. Next up on the show, we've got Cam. Then we've got Adam coming on. We've got a super chat first here from Monsieur Ahmed. Says LFC, Man United, Chelsea, and other fans need to stand together and stop this European Super League from happening. It's disgraceful and a joke. Pure greed. Yes. We are going to get into that a little bit later. It's a league financed by, I believe, JP Morgan, an American bank. It's been spearheaded by Real Madrid and heavily backed by three major American owners. It's for me, the whole thing sounds very NFL, NBA, and all of that. My biggest worry about it is this: the NBA and the NFL and all those sports are great. That's how they've always been. But why do you want to create something that echoes a sport that we're superior to? That doesn't make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? If I'm going to take business advice, who am I going to listen to? Like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or the guy that, you know what I mean? The guy that runs a local, supermarket. I'm not saying the NBA, the comparisons are there, but that's just how it feels to me. It's a mad one. Next up, we've got man like Cam here. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Interesting analogy there.
I was taking a piss at me.
It's all good. No, it's all good. I'd love to talk about it after because it kind of distracted me a bit from the game, which was unfortunate. But to speak on the game, because I know it's what you want to hear. Yeah. I've been listening to everybody and sorry to digress again. I'm really upset when I see Meeks come on here with a fresh cut. KJ, David, this is what's going on in Canada. Damn it. Okay. The game. Okay, honestly, this is I love seeing Rashford kind of, up to it. Not seeing a guy who looks like he's dead on his feet. Really good game to watch him come out and dominate. Like he really showed today. He looked like one of the best players in the world. Like the way he played, the way he kind of just went through the game. I don't know what Johnny's saying. I don't understand what dominating a game looks like if that kind of didn't. I know there was times where we looked a bit shaky, which is fair. It's Burnley. It's always going to happen. But when you have 70% possession and 15, 17 shots, 5-6 big chances created, like I was never worried. I thought we were going to score eventually because of the run we've been on recently. I think we're getting to a point where these teams are no longer a worry for us. Before they were. You always thought there's going to be a slip. We weren't going to figure it out. Ollie making the positive changes today where he brought in more attacking players. He brought in Cavani to change the game versus, what he usually does, which is mix around with the midfield. He's like, you know what? No, we're just going to attack. He should have done that from the start. He should have started the game off that way. But I get not starting Cavani. We can't afford to lose Cavani and still hope to win the Europa League. In my opinion, you need Cavani. So he's got to be protective of a player who's consistently injured. But I think we played great in the sense, like the link-up play between Sean and Radford is getting better and better and better. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying watching Greenwood off on the right side where Ollie has a point where he's saying he doesn't really want Greenwood's back to net getting kicked by play. Like I get that sentiment. I don't think it's not because he won't be able to do it and be a good center forward, but I get the sentiment of like, keep him out wide right now. When he runs onto the ball, do you ever think is there ever a doubt that he's going to at least hit the target? Never. You're like, he's going to lash it and it's going to be a very hard shot to stop. And that's what he did today, both times. The second one, he was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to do exactly what I did to Lloris. Stop it. I'm going to put the power behind it. Let's see you stop this shot. And I love that. I love that about Greenwood. Sometimes it's frustrating when he just shoots and you're like, don't. But games like today, you're like, yes, young man, go shoot. Every time you get a chance, just give, because they're going to put 11 men in the box. I've said it before. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, what I've noticed from Greenwood in the last few weeks, a learning curve from him, great coaching from Ollie, of course, is he's learning when to shoot and when to cross. Where I think too often earlier on this season, it was like square the ball and he was shooting. And I think that was causing problems, and I think it was damaging his confidence. And he's getting that decision making a lot better now.
Yeah, and it's a team like Burnley, like I've said it before, and I agree with KJ. Like everything about Burnley, I hate the colors they wear, the way they play football, the stamping of everything. I just can't stay and watch them play football. And he bring up another team for the championship. I'm so tired of this team, man. I can't do it.
You know what's interesting in England? A lot of people have an affection towards them because they're the town they're from. It only has like 100,000 people. They're a tiny part of the country. It's a small little town. They're the lowest wage payers, the lowest transfer spend and everything. So a lot of people look at them like they're this kind of bless them. They're the little mascots of the league. Type.
Yeah.
I also understand the fact that the irony is teams like Burnley. This new Super League is to expel people from Burnley ever making it to the top. There's an irony that what people are actually fighting for right now would stop people like Burnley ever getting to this level. But there we go. It's an interesting. In the league. Well, let's do a Super League, but that's too greedy. But no, I hear you on that. In terms of Ollie today, Johnny's just been quite sort of said he got away with murder. Do you think Ollie got away with it today, or was it his players that let him down?
If anything, I'm still trying to figure out what went. Like, if anything, the players kind of let him down. I think the one thing he did get away with, and I'll say this is, why do you start a Fred in a game against Burnley? Like, why? Fred is 5 foot. Fred is I tower over Fred. I'm not a big man. Fred is a small human being going up against these bruisers who the way they play football. It's like, Fred, you can never match up. So why play him? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. Like, and that was the big mistake. Like, I'd rather you put Juan Mata, who's also small, cool. But he's going to break them down. He's going to find those spaces. He's going to do that. Play your attackers against Burnley. They're going to put 11 men in the box. Like, they're not going to come at you until they have so why not just play?
Bro, 100%.
That's a big one.
You know what? One of the things I agree with the Ollie Outers on, and they talk about this a lot, it's why do we always need, it's not that I don't care about the positions of 2 DMs, 2 6s, double pivots. I don't really care for the descriptive word for them. You didn't need two players like Fred and McTominay today. You should have started with Donny, because when Donny came on, I know it was only late in the game, but you had those 3 players in that can ball in Donny, Bruno, and Pogba. They could interchange positions nicely, and I think you should have done that. There's no doubt about it, babe. But listen, so go on, mate.
One more thing before, I just wanted to talk about Donny van de Beek because I've been hard on him before, and I like to show that I'm not just agenda whatever. I've been saying for Donny van de Beek to get in the team, I need him to come on and show why he should be in the team. Come on, when you come on, even if it's in 10, 15, 45, we saw at Granada. Today it was 10 minutes. He came on, instant impact, did something positive. This is a player that now, okay, cool. Let's start seeing more of him because he's actually proving it. He's not just coming on and being safe. Like, impact the game is what I want to see. Yeah. And that's just one thing I want to say about Donny van de Beek, because I'm normally really hard on him.
I hear, mate. Backstage is going to bring you back on for the panel to talk Super League very, very soon. Top man Adam Matic up next. I've got a super chat here first that says, you said you don't think Ollie will win any major trophies with Man United, and you're so positive about his management. In the other hand, you don't believe in him. Why? Because life isn't black or white, and I'm not a polarized person. I'm not convinced he'll win a major trophy. That doesn't mean I dislike everything he does. I'll praise and be positive about some things, and I'll be constructive and negative about others. That's how normal people should behave in most circumstances about most things in life. Do you know what I mean? Especially when we're talking about sport or work or something. We're not talking about the most highest emotive subject matters on life where you can be a little bit more unyielding. But when it comes to Ollie, some people act like literally he's the worst manager we've ever had at the club, like he's the worst manager in the world. It's the worst we've ever been as a team. I actually saw a fan not long ago say this: Man United under Ollie is the biggest disaster in the club's history. Just let that sink in for a second. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you call yourself a Man United fan, please stop. JP Morgan Chase, not surprised. They are the most shady bank in the States. Don't be surprised if the Glazers are amongst the American owners. Listen, the American owners, a few people say Spurs involved. They are. Last night, Manchester City signed up to this as well. I've got a theory on why they're doing this, and we will go into that a little bit later. Max here says, if Abramovich even dares to sign on the Super... Every top 6 team has signed up to it. Every top 6 team has agreed to it. And I've got a theory as to why. And I'll tell you all later. Killing football or improving bank balances, we'll go into that. We're going to get Adam on first of all. Hello, mate. You all right?
Sorry, mate. I think I just had a little bit of a trip on the internet then. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. How's it going? I've seen plenty of contrasting views on this one today, and it's interesting how some United fans are seeing this game today, mate. It really is.
How do you see it, Adam?
Mate, it's funny because I heard Johnny there saying, I've not seen us dominate a game or want to dominate a game. I mean, I don't know what dominating a game is. I mean, you said that yourself there. I mean, 70% possession, 17 shots, 9 on target. I don't know on paper. I know the statisticians, which use these stats to go against Ollie or against the player that they don't rate, or their agenda-driven case against the player they love, will ignore the paper stats when it suits them and use them when it does. It's crazy. At the end of the day, we expected a low-key game after a European week, as it always is, every single week. You've just got to manage this time of the season. But that's what, 1 defeat in 26. Hey, yeah, it was a bad start to the league, mate, but one defeat in 26 is only us and City, I think, who have gone on a run like this in the league this season. That's 5 winning rows for us in the league. In that, what if we've had West Ham, we were having a good season. Obviously, we stopped City's run in that as well. So, and you know, mate, I say it as it is, and I'll say it when things are bad. Yes, sometimes on the pitch, the performances of certain players aren't fantastic. I know they can be criticised for playing players that haven't been great week in, week out. I understand that, and I go in that myself, mate. But at the end of the day, we've not beat Burnley for what? This was the first time in 5 years at home.
6.
It's just one of 6. It's just one of these voodoo teams. Sometimes it comes up against it, and today we just put it to bed. How people are going in on players. I mean, I opened the can of worms on Twitter by saying our best players today were Rashford, Shaw, Bruno, and Greenwood. And for me, the biggest one that came back on me today for that was people saying, Bruno, what are you talking about? Well, Bruno, yeah, let's see, all these Bruno haters who tell him every single time, so why is he shooting? He's wasting the ball. He didn't waste the ball once today, and 2 opportunities he had to have a shot. He picked the better option, and what happened? We got goals from both of them, but still, no, Bruno did nothing today because he didn't get on the stat sheet. When everyone wants to pray, when he wants to get him, they moan about his stats and how many goals and that agenda-driven one. Rashford today, superb for me. It was the most direct I've seen him in months. And you know what? Him getting the rest here and there and another week off this week now for us with no midweek game, I can see it benefiting him. And all he needs praise for bringing him out when he has done, because he's finally learning that, you know what, Rashford can't play every game. Not at this stage of the season, which is what happened to him last year, and he went on complete burnout. So Rashford, brilliant, and his link up with Shaw. I think it was Cam who spoke about that just a second ago. If I'm getting the names right, I'm still getting used to everyone's names. Yeah. But him and Rashford's link up. How many times did we carve open Burnley down the left-hand side with them two. And you know what? On another day, we could have had a lot more. Good to see Donny come on. Got his assist. Cavani on fire at the moment. Greenwood shooting, like I said the other week. He just needs to play every game now. He's had enough rest. 2 goals for him today. Massive confidence booster. And I'm looking at each player on the pitch. Yeah, we've got issues with certain other players, but we know we have to address that in the summer if we can. But Rashford coming into form, Greenwood, Cavani, Bruno doing Bruno things which no one will give him credit for, Pogba playing well. We got a lot of positives ending into this crucial end of the season and crucial for Ollie as well. So I'm looking at it going, people are saying, what, you beat Burnley 3-1, City smashed Burnley 5-0 every week, that's the difference. Well, we beat Leeds 6-2 and City got 1 point against them this season. So shut up. It's all how you want to see it, and people will use what they want to for their own agendas. At the end of the day, you can't deny it's 1 defeat in 25 games. We're unbeaten away from home all season. With 5 wins in a row. We're second in the league by a country mile, 12 clear of Chelsea in 5th, 8 behind City. Yes, sometimes the football has been dross, and I've gone in on it. But, mate, you can't argue with what the league table says. There are things we need to sort out, but seriously, mate, I think it should just be Ollie keeps his job. If he gets second and gets the Europa League, that's fair, fine with me. Then if he does something miraculous next season and surprises us all, I don't think anyone should be complaining with that. I think that's as fair as it gets.
Yeah, I think I keep seeing people say things like, a few things I want to address, and I'm going to bring the panel back on. I keep seeing people say, sacking managers don't work when Tuchel's doing well. And I thought, well, we have sacked 3 managers before Ollie and it hasn't worked. So it's not the foregone conclusion that sacking managers instantly works. But something Alfie said a few weeks ago, which I still stand by the fact I don't know if Ollie, or I don't think Ollie can win us a major trophy, but I'm very much up for being proven wrong. But something that Alfie pointed out to me a week or two ago, where he said, well, have we progressed from last year? The answer is yes. Well, until there's progression, I don't want to change, because there's no guarantee that the new person continues that progression. You couldn't.
Well, it's like that, mate. It's like what, we're at exactly the same points as we did at the end of all of last season. Right now, we're on the same points as what we finished last season with. So on paper, it's an improvement. You know what I mean? Pretty much exactly the same goal difference. We've won more games already than we did in the whole of last season, and you can't argue with that.
The last time I checked, I think it was won a hell of a lot more games. We've lost half the amount across. We've got something like about 8 or 9 more clean sheets this year. We've scored more goals, created more chances, had more shots. We are a better team. There's no doubt. I understand people don't always enjoy it. And on the Bruno thing you mentioned, I'm glad somebody brought that up today, because for me, all I ever see is, well, other than goals and assists, what else does he do? And he proved that today, factually, was the least amount of times in any given game that he gave the ball away. It was only, I think, 8 times in the game in its entirety, which is pretty good. And he was instrumental in 2 of our goals. But I'm seeing Twitter, like, I've been sort of checking Twitter, putting his name in while you said that. And it's like, see, Bruno's trash, Pogba carried in today. And I'm thinking to myself, if you actually look at the 2 goals that he was involved in, the reason that Donny van der Beek had the space and the reason Greenwood had the space is, as he in the first goal, as he goes towards it, and as he tends to shoot for the 3rd goal, he sucks players in, because that's Bruno Fernandes. He's a great goal scorer. He sucks people in, either dummies it or plays the ball, and then a teammate's in lots of space. And this is the thing. I would love Bruno to score every single week. I'd love all our players to score every single week, but they've got to contribute. And Bruno Fernandes is the highest goal contributor in the Premier League outside of goals and assists. So in terms of build-ups to goals, without being the sister or the scorer, nobody else has more than Bruno Fernandes. But you never, ever hear this, because all people want to focus on is penalties and how many times he gives the ball away. And I thought I agree, Rashford, Greenwood, I thought were sensational today. They really were. Luke Shaw again had another good game. And I was really happy with man like Donny when he came on the pitch as well, because he looked looking a little bit sharper, I think. I think, as Cam pointed out as well, looking a little bit sharper.
More good signs, mate. More good signs for a lot of players coming into a bit of form.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to bring the rest of the panel on now. We might have touched on a few of the United bits, but I do want to discuss in detail this Super League proposal, which is it's trending now. It's mad. I've never seen the halftime game on a Super Sunday where they're not talking about the game. I know it wasn't a very entertaining first half. And even after the match, it was literally the first 10, 15 minutes was all about this Super League. That's what we're jumping into now. Make sure like buttons are being hit, share buttons are being hit. Let's get the panel on, peeps. Welcome back, everyone. Everyone done their fan cams and everything else. Any United things to pick up on before we go into the Super League?
Yes. I just want to say one thing as well. It's like every United game, it shows us why we need a certain position over another. Each game I find it very amusing at times. Like, because today I felt like this is why we need a new centre back pairing, because Chris Wood was giving Maguire and freaking.
I said exactly the same thing. I know. I know what you're saying, KJ, mate.
Like it's embarrassing, really, how he was just literally out muscling both of them, making them look like they're just poor defenders. And the centre back is not the main priority, no. But then we see games like this, we're like, actually, we need a strong, quick centre back to deal with these man, because Lindelof is soft, man.
KJ,
and Maguire loves. I don't know what Maguire does sometimes.
Well, but that's what, we speak about this a lot on the terrace. There's no such thing as your strongest 11. It depends who you play. In games like today, it's not going to be our midfield that gets exposed, because Burnley don't play through the midfield. They're going to knock the ball in long. As an example, when you play up against a good Tuchel team or a good City team, it's the midfield battles we lose. We think, we need a ball player in the middle, as an example. When you're up against a really good defense, it's hard to break them down. We need more creators. What we need is more creators, a new ball player midfielder, and a new centre back. We need all three. Depending on who you play, you can beat them all. It's like, that's not a knock at you. It's just, for me, it's a normal thing, and everyone has a view as to which is there. We had a super chat about Adam. It says Adam is speaking with wisdom. Look at that, with wisdom, with wisdom. Man, like the Oracle up there, he says, if you can't see the progression of performances we've had under Ollie since he got hired, then you're deluded.
It's all good on that. It's all good on that. It's like we're all talking here right now, but what we're about to drop into just completely nullifies any sort of normal talk, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Absolutely. And
sorry, I just wanted to say one thing on the Harry Maguire thing too.
Yeah, go on, mate.
If I could, is that because I tweeted out isn't this a man we celebrate for being one of the strongest men in the league? The guy fought off 5 cops, this or that. If you can't, and I love Maguire, I actually don't hate on Maguire. If you can't fight off Tarkowski in that situation, what are you there for? Listen, I think Maguire's good. I have no problem with him. But today, dude, you gotta be stronger.
On a level, I was watching that as someone that's done Thai boxing and a fair bit of mixed martial arts. It was his starting position. It wasn't a case of strength, like who's the strongest. He was flat-footed in a deep position, and Tarkowski had the run on him, so he couldn't generate the power because he was standing still versus somebody that was running. You have
to be on your toes. In zonal marking, you have to be on your toes. You can't be flat. Yeah, you have to be able to jump. You have to be able to move left or right.
It was the positioning and the lack of organisation of us. That's what leads to all these set piece goals. It's a lack of organisation.
It's the third of the goals we conceded this season are from set piece. It says everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. Wan-Bissaka loses Tarkowski, and like you said, Maguire, flat-footed, zonal marking does not work for our defenders. They're not nimble enough.
110%.
From Dean Henderson a sec.
Dean Henderson, listen, he had a brain fart day today.
I said exactly the same. I'm Dean Henderson's biggest. I back Dean Henderson over De Gea all day. I've had many an argument, but today I said it exactly like you did then. Brain fart. What are you doing today, Dino? Something went wrong in his head today, and the red cap didn't help him.
when he came out the second time, and he was I was like, oh my god, if Burnley if that was a more attacking team, that's falling. Someone scored. Oh, I was so scared. I was so.
Mate, how are you supposed to head the ball? How are you supposed to head the ball with a cap on? What was he doing coming out of the box?
I tweeted out today. I said, the people that want De Gea out, you'll be wanting him back in 6 months. I'm telling you, isn't it?
I will, mate.
Dean Henson's not quite ready for that jersey. I'm telling you.
No. But my issue is. Yeah. My issue is, John, in the sense that when David De Gea makes a mistake, and he hasn't made many this season, but when he does, then those who want Dean Henderson are like, see, this is why we need Dean Henderson. And then Dean Henderson makes a mistake, and you get the other side. And I'm just like, they're both two good goalkeepers, both who I would say probably are as error prone as each other, but in different ways. So Dean Henderson might make an error doing this. David Head makes error doing that. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
The fact is, hardly any. Like last year, it was really bad, and we all agree with that. This year, he hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's dropped.
I wouldn't say he hasn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah,
you know what it is. You know what it is. Sometimes he might not make what you call an error leading to a goal, but it's things like not coming for a cross where you could have, and then the opposition score. It's not your error, but if you did what Dean Henderson might do, the goal might have been prevented.
That's right. So they're the polar opposites. Like De Gea's issue is he doesn't come out enough.
If I could,
Henderson's issue is he comes out too much.
Goalkeeping coach. I'd say to his goalkeeping coach, why are you not coaching him to be more commanding in his box and to be a bit
David De Gea's 30 years old and he's never been commanding.
Yeah, but it is, bro. Coaching can only take you so far. You know, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, and that's the same in all sports when it comes to coach. What I would say is this about De Gea: the reason it's the right time to move him on is because I don't want to see us do what we did with Rio Ferdinand and Vidic, play them until they're past their best, and then we don't have a ready-made replacement. I think you need to make these decisions sooner rather. Yeah, but it's cash in now, get some money for him.
And also, De Gea as a person with his family situation, also he wants to leave. You can tell, like he's got a newborn in Spain. He wants to spend time with his children and his wife.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I agree. If that's why I want to leave, then
that's part of it. That's part of it. Guys, we're going to speak. I want to speak about this Super League. Just give me 1 second while I do something.
There's a super chat here. I'll read it out while you're doing that. The Super League has Gary Neville going ape shit. Honestly, this has nothing to but greed. It's ridiculous. It is.
Guys, the European Super League. No one knows too much about it just yet. There's going to be an announcement supposedly tonight, the 18th of April, if you're watching this back, at 9:30 p.m. And essentially, it's a European break-off league away from UEFA. It's a league that will see up to 12 to 18 European giants compete year in, year out with one another. So basically a new format for a sort of Champions League style European event. All of the big 6 clubs in England have signed up for it. The biggest problem that's born out of this is that it's not based on meritocracy. It isn't you win the league, you win the Europa League, you finish in the top 4, you qualify. It's a set group of people like the NBA, like the NFL in America, where you're in it and that's it. You're in it, period. There's no issues, no problems. No team can grow and develop like Leicester have done in recent years and push themselves into these positions. The irony, we'll get into all the teams, of Spurs signing up for it when 5-6 years ago they weren't part of the top 4. They're part of this. They're part of the top 6 side of things. But it's a lot of people are angry about it. A lot of people are frustrated about it. Huge signs of greed. There's worries it's going to kill the game of football. I have my own theories that I'll go into a little bit later on this. But essentially, all of the top 6 clubs in England, so both Manchester clubs, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal and Chelsea have signed up to be part of this team. They want to leave the current European format. And the announcement's meant to be out tonight at 9:30. I'm going to go to Neeks first on this, because they've been very sort of active and sort of vocal about this in the group chats and everything else. I mean, what's your view of it? And yeah, what's your opinion on this new breakaway league?
I think it is absolutely disgusting. I said it when we first got inkling around it maybe a few months ago. It's always been mentioned, even the last few years, about this Super League, and I've never been a fan of it. And when you hear that this announcement is supposed to come out at 9:30 today, when UEFA tomorrow is supposed to bring out an announcement about a new style Champions League format, which actually is very, very similar to this this Super League format in terms of a league, and then you have a knockout competition at the end. And I think this epitomizes and brings to the forefront all the movements of fans like Newcastle, like Manchester United, like Arsenal, who have been talking about, like Liverpool to an extent, talking about the owners that they have and how greedy these owners are, taking money out of these football clubs, not reinvesting this money, basically just in this business, this football business for money purposes alone. And of course, there's others involved who don't need the money, like the Man Cities, like the Chelseas, etc. But they're coming and taking all this money out of the game and trying to basically make this Super League, which is an elitist, rich man members club, basically, and nobody's allowed in. Now, the football that we grew up on, the football that I grew up on, is all about the fairy tale. The Leicester story is one that will live forever in football. When you close that rank, when you close the club where the smaller clubs and the smaller teams have no room to grow or to enter, you take away what we call open and fair competition. In some countries, in some competitions, that's how it's set, that's how it works, and people are cool with that. But to change the nature of football club competition in the way that a select few are trying to do and move their power around to get that change, I think it's absolutely disgusting. I hope that FIFA, the FA, Premier League, and UEFA, who I don't even like 100%, but when it comes to this, I'm 100% behind them, sanctioning those who want to sign up to this.
So absolutely. So just to make a few things clear, I want to read this not a whole statement, but this is something that's been put out this afternoon. So it says this new league represents the American takeover of elite European football, which will become a closed shop run by its founding members. It is bankrolled by US banking giant JP Morgan and is the brainchild of Real Madrid president Florentino Perez and the American owners of 3 leading English clubs. For me, as I said earlier, and this wasn't a pop at American sports because they're very good at what they do, but what I've always loved, I kind of like the draft system. I think that's kind of cool, and I think it's the way you can maybe utilize that in European football to help smaller teams. But for me, this notion that you can't ever have a team that grows from the ashes and becomes a massive side is a worry for me. That fairy tale story, as Nick's pulled onto, is really, really important. And for me, the one saving grace for this is that the Premier League have to give permission for their clubs to go into it. And there's no way the Premier League are going to give permission. However, the only way, though, it depends how much money is at stake here, because the initial amount of money that's been pumped into this is £4.6 billion, and it looks set to grow from that point. It could lead, if the money's there, to the clubs like Man United and Chelsea and Liverpool leaving the Premier League as well, which, for all intents and purposes, will destroy football domestically. And the same thing in Spain and the same thing in Italy, because Inter Milan, AC Milan, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid have all signed up to this as well. Their domestic leagues could be destroyed and absolutely ripped up. It will become, I mean, it's no heart, I mean, no disrespect. They're going to become like the Scottish League. It's going to become like the Dutch League, where there's barely any money in it, and the investment isn't there, and it ruins it. And I'm like, go on, mate.
I think I've just grabbed from your description. I've just grasped what this actually entails. This isn't like the Champions League where you all go away to the Champions League and compete and come back to your domestics. Is this where? No. The team going to one league and stay in the league.
No. So they want to be what they want in an ideal world is to stay in the Premier League and to compete in this new European Super League. But the new European Super League, you are automatically qualified for it every year as one of the founding members. So it doesn't matter where you finish in the Prem, you're in this league, which is worth more money to you as a club than the Champions League currently is.
So, and then they're going to take away the Champions League on back of that.
Yeah,
no,
basically.
They want to compete with the Champions League and force the Champions League out.
The Super League.
But imagine the Champions
League. Those 12 clubs will not compete in Champions League, Super League, and Premier League at the same time.
No, once you take away getting there on merit, you take away the competition.
Of course you do, and that's the issue here. All these big clubs want is money. I do think, though, the saving grace here is I don't think they're going to pull away from the Prem. I don't think they're actually. I think this is all a big power play, and I've been saying this for years. There's 2 things they want here. So I know that they have this in Spain. I'm not sure about Italy, but the big you negotiate your own TV money in Spain. So Real Madrid and Barcelona get the lion's share of TV money, where in the Prem it's completely and utterly split fairly amongst the international money is split fairly, and then it's based on league position and how many games you show for the rest, but it's pretty evenly spread. I felt for about 8-9 years now that the big 6, they want a bigger cut of the wedge, and I think eventually that's going to be what they look as their compromise in this situation. I think what they'll turn around and say is, one sec, Johnny. I think what they'll turn around and do and say is this: we want a bigger share of Champions League revenue, and we want a bigger share of TV right money domestically, because their argument is, without us, your leagues are trash. And to a degree, they are right. They are right in that. That doesn't mean that morally they're wrong. But on a real level, if all those teams walk away from the Prem, if all those teams walk away from the Champions League, we're not watching it in the same way we do now. So I think what they're after as a bare minimum is a much bigger chunk of that money. But it still creates the same problem. And I'm a Man United fan and I want to be top of the tree. But if we get an extra 150 million a year, that means, again, you're still going to stop the smaller teams from being able to catch you and compete because they're never, ever going to be able to catch you financially. Adam, what's your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, it's like you said, you can look at it. You can look at it one way. I think the point you just made there was right. Without these big teams in the league, it does look like a poor league. But I think the bigger teams in the league are realizing that this shared money is bringing other threats up to them as well, i.e. the Leicesters this season and last season. You know what? The West Hams are getting a bit more. Everyone's spending a lot more money, and the bigger teams are feeling more threatened. It all comes down to the likes of the Glazers, the likes of the owners at Liverpool, Arsenal. They want the ultimate franchise system where there's no pitfalls. They want to be able to have the same money every single season without being challenged on it. They don't want the relegation does not exist in American franchise. This is what they want, and it's all leading to the security of endless amounts of money pumped into them clubs. I mean, I can't personally see it. I think this is why we're hearing the sort of rumours that UEFA may extend the Champions League qualifying positions to the top 6 to guarantee a lot more money coming into them clubs as well. I think that's where them stories are coming from. I don't see how they can do it. It's taking football away from the fans because, I mean, I can only afford so much as a match-going fan. I can't afford to go out to Europe and all these destinations and more constantly. And if they take it away, then that's it. I'm done. I'm actually done if the Premier League finishes. That finishes it for me, mate. That's how serious this is because I can't support that, mate. I can't.
110%. You know, for me, I want to go to Cam on this in a second because obviously you watch and consume North American sports, being a Canadian. I want to understand your thoughts of having something like that in the European game. I'm a working class man, born and bred. Football is a working class man's game. I don't care the origins of it. It's a working class man's game as it stands right now. If you take it away from the working class people, if you take that dream away, if you take that competitiveness away, that ability to grow from nothing into something, I will walk away from Manchester United as a fan. I will not. I'm already fuming that my football club is doing this. When I say my football club, I'm talking about the Glazers and this board that we always complain about. If they go through with it, I will not support it. I will become a supporter of a non-league team or something. I'll start my own club, Football Terrace FC. I don't care. I'm not going to support it. But Cam, from your point of view, do you think it's a good idea for European football, which is globally watched more than any other sport in the world, to copy an NBA, NFL style league? Do you think that's a good idea?
No, because they're doing it wrong. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent because I've been thinking about, like I told you, I was distracted from the game. I was trying to figure out where the crux of this comes from. And I think a few things that I'm thinking about when I think about like the American owners, like the Cronkies and the whoever else, the Glazers, this reeks of fear of falling out of relativity or whatever you might say, being relevant for a long time. Because Arsenal's, we're seeing that, right? But they're thinking, well, we're a global franchise. We make so much money for the Prem, this or that. Lots of people support Arsenal. Arsenal is one of the biggest clubs in Canada. It's like, realistically, I've done a whole research thing on it. But they're not. They're about to be a 10th place team continuing to fall out of European football. They don't get to compete with the big boys anymore. So what do? You start this league that you're always going to be in. So this is what they're doing here. This is a structure they're stealing from what the NFL and NBA did. People don't know this, I'm sure, because a lot of you guys don't watch the sport, but the NFL and NBA weren't always one league. They weren't. They were like smaller. It was like a smaller leagues that became bigger so they can involve all the teams across the country. So you'd have like the 76ers, which was a great team in the ABA, play against the Lakers in the NBA. Like you wanted to see those matchups. It was important. Here's the problem with if you do this in European football. European football is run by money. There is no draft system. There is no trade system in a sense. Like their swap deals are so rare. There is no way of moving. There are no caps. There's no salary caps. There's none of these things in place that allow for parity. There's like, it just doesn't, it's all about money. So if you create this league where the money stays with just the top teams, it is going to be literally impossible for any other team to ever be significantly relevant. And listen, I'll play a little bit devil's advocate when we talk about Champions League and who gets there and who wins it. Champions League, I'm looking at the list, has been won by the same team for the same teams for the last 10 years. Cool. But then you think about the quarterfinals and the semis where you get the RB Leipzigs, the Atalantas, those teams who move forward and they get the prize money and they start building their own reputations and they can start reinvesting. Leicester's, those teams who are able to break into the Champions League and even getting that little bit of prize money to play in the league allows you to do what Leicester has continuously done the last few years, is grow and grow and grow, because they just keep chipping away. They get that European money, they spend right, they sell right. Cool. You create this league, you destroy it. You are destroying smaller teams and the leagues. The Premier League, as Adam said, what's the Premier League after that? What is La Liga already? La Liga is a 2-team league. Cool. And nobody's going to watch these leagues. So you're going to destroy the leagues to keep the money in a bunch of legitimately American-owned companies. That's what these teams look like now. They don't look like football clubs. They look like American-run companies. Right? Corporations. So you have the Cronkies, you have the Glazers, you have all these people commercializing the sport. And it's embarrassing because sport is not supposed to be a commercial entity. It's supposed to be something that's fun for everybody, that everybody can participate in. It's for the people. You're pulling football away from the people, and now you're making it an entertainment thing. It's like, cool, if I want full entertainment, I can go to the movies, right? I watch football I watch sport and football, and I watch European football because it's different than what I watch here. Like, cool. Like we always have conversations in our group chats about the playoffs and how do I feel about not having playoffs. And I've always said I never want to see a playoffs in the Prem because that's what makes it special. Every game, I can watch every game on a Sunday and be like, this game matters. This game matters. Like, I don't skip Man United games. I skip Raptors games. Like, I skip Eagles games because I can. I'm like, yeah, we're playing a shitty team today. I don't need to watch it.
I went to a baseball game about 2-3 years ago in Chicago, and most people don't even stay to the end. And I found out such a weird concept. I was like, why are you leaving? They said, we'll find out the result later. I like, see, house sports, you stay from start to finish. No matter what you're watching, golf, cricket, like we don't do it's a madness.
Sorry, just one more thing.
Sorry, Cam, can I just jump in? I've got to shoot off, fellas. So I just wanted to say what Cam was saying there is exactly right. And what this will ultimately do, it will take away the connection of the fan to that football club. It will just destroy it. There will be nothing. I won't feel connected. Cam nailed it there. It's like going to the pictures. You said it right, Terry, with the baseball game. I've done the same thing. It's a show. It's like a show, mate. It's like you just come and go as you please. It's like it's no build up. It's like you can just cruise in when you want, and that's ultimately what it's like.
It's like going to Covent Garden and watching the street performers. It's very, very different. Listen, Adam, thanks for coming on today, mate, and having your say.
I'll see you all soon, guys.
Top man. Take care.
Sorry, just one more thing, Terry. One more thing, so I don't forget. This is an important fact. The only way this thing would ever work, and it's cool that Agal's here because he can attest to this, is if you introduce literally all of the things that keep American sports parity, where it's like the draft system, cap, all that, wages. Like you can't, like the cap system, then maybe cool, it might work because I support one of the smallest teams in the NBA, the Raptors, when it comes to our fan base. And we won a championship 3 years ago or whatever. Because of all those systems in place, we went through the draft. You have cap. You can stop the big teams. If you don't do that, we're just going to see the same teams winning over and over again, and it's dead.
Totally agree. I want to go to Egal, but just KJ, I want to grab your thoughts on it, mate.
It's an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace that this is happening. And I've been screaming about these pagans are called the Glazers, for the whole season. But I hope now that everyone who are what, the Glazers ain't that bad. But they spend money. They realize what they're here for. They ain't here for football. These owners aren't here for football. They are here to make money. And that's all they care about. And the thing is, we can scream about managers all we want. We can scream about players all we want. But these people are the ones that run this sport. And if they're the ones going corrupt, if they're the ones going left, our sport goes left. You won't be screaming about managers anymore. You won't be screaming about players no more, because what would be the point? Because it wouldn't matter. Because we will be totally non-existent when it comes to us having a say. We're basically on the verge of extinction anyway. The fans are on the verge of extinction. This move would just completely erase us from the sport, and it's an absolute disgrace. These football owners need to get checked in, need to get reined in, because they should not be coming into the sport to change it into a thing that don't even work in the country that it's based in. The MLS sucks.
Do you know what's mad?
For a reason.
Do you know what's mad about it? Do you know what's mad about this as well, right? Fans have got to step up and do it. I know fans from all around the world are important, but in this argument now, match-going fans have the biggest play. The reason that the Premier League makes so much money, and I've spoke to marketers about this that work in that industry, is the unique noise they make. The unique noise in the full stadiums that we have week in, week out in this country. It's what makes the atmosphere. We've all accepted football in the way they've done it in the last year or so because we know it's coming back. If we don't turn up to games, and I say we as in the football fan bases, and games are quiet and drab, doesn't matter who's playing, they lose something. They'd have to do something to try and take away from this. Igal, you wanted the link to come on and have your say. What's your thoughts, mate?
Don't compare this to anything in relation to North American sports. It's nothing comparable. What they're basically trying to do is they're basically trying to say, we're going to have our leagues, we're going to have this, we're going to have everything. And you know what? On top of that, we're going to make something else to make us more money and keep it within house. This is greed on its most highest level. This is not parity. This is not trying to create parity. This is not trying to create something for the TV people. This is not trying to create anything for anybody else. This is strictly to keep the power at their hands, because they're seeing Atlanta, they're seeing Leicester, they're seeing all these other clubs that they didn't see as threats coming up and being threats. And you know what? As an Arsenal fan, I'm ashamed. I'm absolutely ashamed of Stan Kroenke and the board looking at this as a part in a way to keep the club relevant, to keep the club higher. You know what? If you really cared, spend money on actual investments like players that are going to improve this club, or people in the boardroom that are going to improve the club. Make changes for yourselves. Don't try to find a cop-out. And guys, don't ever compare this to MLS. MLS does not do this. This is not the MLS. This is NFL.
So what we're saying is, when I compare it to the American sports, the element I'm comparing it to is the non-relegation element. In terms, as you say, you're both right, and I understand that element of American sports. If you're the worst team, you get the best draft picks. As an example, it's not like we're going to do. It isn't like the team that comes bottom in the European Super League gets to pick the next Messi and Mbappe coming through. Yeah, if they were doing that, then maybe you could argue there's a little bit of something saying, but no, there ain't no.
Here's where it makes sense to me why they're trying to do this. They're trying to get more money into it, right? The only way they're going to get more money into it is if they get people who are willing to invest more money without the risk of losing and relegation and possibly not being in the. If they do get a European Super League, the only thing that they could benefit is they would be able to get. Like the owner from the Patriots, Robert Kraft, would be willing to now invest, because he specifically is one person who said verbatim, I will never buy a football club until relegation is gone, because I don't want to risk putting that much money into a team that could possibly lose value just in one season. And that's the only thing they're trying to do. They're trying to protect their assets.
Yeah, and it's obvious. It's all about money. It's purely and simply all about money. For these individuals, and you know, as you've said, if Arsenal want to be a Champions League team, run yourselves like a Champions League team. Man United want to stay at the top of the tree, run yourselves like you want to be top of the tree. Where I feel so sorry for the Leicesters, for the Evertons, for the Wolves, you know, even to a degree. I know we had a guy on today. Clubs like Burnley's and people like this, they are tiny in comparison to our football clubs, but they run themselves impeccably to be able to get somewhere near, or in some cases now surpass, some of the gigantic teams in Europe in how they play and operate. And yes, some of them have had rich owners that have come and invested in them, but they've had to be run well. They've had to be run impeccably well. And you know who really stand out to me here, and I've praised them a lot recently, is Man City. Man City don't need the money from this, but the reason they've signed up, I almost know it's, you know what though, there's no point being a shark in a tiny little pond anymore. We've got to go with them, and that's the thing with all of this. Some of the teams, I think Spurs, and I think City, and maybe even Chelsea to a degree, I think they might have thought, it's not really for us, really. But if this does happen, and all the big boys in Europe go, we have to jump ship with them. It's almost like a domino effect.
Nobody's willing to take other than the German sides. PSG. No, and PSG's not in it.
No.
Okay, they're not willing. None of them are willing to take a moral stand. So whilst Man City and Chelsea don't need it, or their owners are not even thinking about how much richer they can get in from this, they're not willing to take the moral stand for the sake of football. Now, for me, are you as to blame as for Florentino Perez or Joe Glazer? That's up to you to decide. They're all as bad as each other, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Johnny.
Duncan Castles about 3 months ago. Duncan Castles, I know he's not the most top tier journalist, but he did quite a detailed podcast on this, and he said even if the FA and the Premier League block it, the people like the Glazers and the Kroenkes, they've got a backdoor way, and they've got another route to it. Anyway, so even if they say no, it's still going to happen.
You've got to remember, money can be the root to all evils, and the problem is even the Premier League may end up having to bow down. This can go through courts. This can go through mediation, courts, and appeals, and everything else. But if in the end of the day, the Premier League teams say the big teams say they're leaving the Prem will have to bend over and say, okay, do your Super League then, because the Premier League can't afford to lose the English team. They've got them bent over a barrel, because the one thing they are right about, morally wrong but factually correct about, if Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool left the Premier League, the viewing figures, I believe, would drop by about 70-80%. That's all the money gone anyway. So
imagine it.
What about the UEFA threat? What about the UEFA threat to the players? If we all leave, but they threaten them for no World Cup and no Euro.
All right.
What's going to happen is Mbappe is going to play for Russia, the Russian teams. That's what he's going to play for. Because if all the big teams are now not allowed to play, I'm not going to lie to you. The French players, some of these players for big international countries, they are not going to risk their international future for Arsenal or for Manchester City.
What I would say, I think something Terry touched on right at the beginning in terms of, I think and I hope, but I do think that it's a bit of a power play. I don't think these clubs are they are 100% going to leave in, say, I don't know when the proposal, maybe 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be, the deadline they put it on. But as you said, what they want, the demands that they've kind of been putting to UEFA and the Premier League haven't really been listened to. So they've kind of said, well, we're going to do this unless you listen to us. Now,
but Nick, best believe, right, if the Glazers and the Kroenkes, if they really think that this is going to make them millions and millions more, best believe they're going to go.
Yes, but UEFA are set tomorrow to bring out this new Champions League proposal. Now, the only way you're going to keep those teams who are willing to go to a Super League is if you give them something more within that proposal, and that's money. So you say it doesn't even have to be.
It's the Swiss model.
It doesn't even have to be a guaranteed. No matter where you finish, you are in the league. But when you are in the league, this is the percentage of the revenue you get. You look at Ferrari in F1, they get a percentage of just being in F1. They get a higher percentage share because they are a brand that has been there from the beginning and they've helped sustain F1 through their branding and their success.
Is it FIFA?
Let me say one thing.
Tomorrow,
one sec, guys.
If tomorrow Ferrari folded and said, "All right, we can't afford to be in F1," another team will come in. Whereas in this format, you are in F1, so you are in the Super League regardless of what happens. If Ferrari finish bottom of the championship, they're going to get a smaller amount of the prize fund by being the championship, by being bottom of the championship. Whereas in this one, regardless of what happens, you're getting the same money, you can buy the same players, you're playing the same teams every year, regardless of how you perform. And I hope that UEFA can do enough to make sure that these teams don't leave, because it's
on a football level, I love the Champions League because you rarely play the big European sides. If it's week in, week out, the novelty will wear off.
Yeah.
The novelty will wear off. And also, a big game's a big game because they don't happen every week, even domestically. Exactly. I wouldn't want a Man United City, a Man United Liverpool, a Man United Arsenal every weekend. I've got barely any hair left as it is.
It'll be boring. It'll be boring. It takes away from the beauty that is the Champions League because it's so rare. It happens. We don't face Real Madrid every week. Heck, we don't even face Madrid every freaking year. So when it does happen, it's like, oh yes, this is cool. It's amazing. It sells. If it happens 100%. Week in, week out, what's the point?
No, 110%. 1 second, Gal. Listen, Johnny, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Top man. Thank you. Because we've got a Ram here from a Liverpool fan's point of view as well. I was wanting to get your opinions quickly on this, Ram, from a Liverpool fan's perspective.
I am absolutely astounded at what happened. I am embarrassed. Honestly, I am embarrassed. I didn't think it would get any worse with these owners, but now they've just done it. Signing up to a league where you're sort of in your comfort zone, not letting any of the smaller teams build themselves up and go into European competitions, absolute greed. I feel sorry for the likes of your Aston Villas, your Leicesters, and even the smaller teams in the lower divisions that have fallen from grace. Make no doubt about this. Every team in the lower divisions wants to play in the Champions League. They want to be with the likes of Real Madrid. They want to be playing against the likes of Bayern Munich. And this just doesn't give them the chance to do it. Like, honestly, I feel so sorry. I'll give you an example, right? My dad saw his team, Nottingham Forest, be playing against the likes of Hamburg back in the day. Now that he doesn't have that chance to see it again, because this system doesn't allow a team like Forest to build themselves up, go back into the Premier League and try their very best to get into the Champions League and be where he feels that they should belong. It's absolutely disgraceful. And big up the German teams. Big up the German teams. Do you know why they didn't sign it up? Because they have football players and fans that run the club. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, a former Bayern Munich player. Uli Hoeneß, who used to be one of the presidents of Bayern Munich, former Bayern Munich player. Michael Zorc, a former Borussia Dortmund legend. These are men that are running their football clubs. They are not these American owners that want to get their own money. It's absolutely disgraceful. And in a Liverpool perspective, I'm going to have to say this. I want the likes of Sir Kenny Dalglish, an ambassador for Liverpool Football Club, to say something, because this is utterly disgraceful. I don't know about United. I don't know who.
Do you know what, bro? I agree with you. I think if Dalglish, if Fergie, if Wenger, if I'm trying to think of a big Tottenham legend, that's hard. You know, if you have these big legends from
Vieira.
Vieira, like Vieira, maybe older people that have won the major things at these clubs, the Ian Wrights of this world, they all need to be coming out. But it's more so the people that are still connected to the clubs, got director roles. Although Fergie's director role is ceremonious, they need to be coming out. And if they're silent on this, they're complicit. If they're silent on this, they're complicit. And something needs to be said and done about it. The managers and players, I think they need to keep quiet, because I do. I just think it's not a place for them.
They haven't even been consulted on this.
Yeah,
They have not even been consulted. That's how dangerous it is.
Yeah,
they haven't
of course.
even been consulted.
Legally, the players will have to stay silent, because there'll be clauses in their contracts already where they're not allowed to speak about club affairs publicly. Most businesses, all of our companies make you do that. Like when I worked at Barclays, you couldn't talk about the company, tweet about them, unless it was something nice. They don't mind you doing that. Harry Redknapp's got to be against it. No, but it's board members and whatnot. But the board have agreed to it, so let's see what happens there. Go on, Miguel. Final point, mate.
I wanted to get on to, I sent you a message the other day about the Swiss model, and we all probably have seen it. So Swiss model is it is sort of a league. It's Champions League, but they add a couple more teams and they make it in like a tier format where you play 10 games. That could still happen, right? And this could be the solution to the gateway between the two things.
That's the announcement tomorrow, Gal. You wait for that.
Right? But at the same time, this is the bigger issue. Do you think that they are just upset? Like, I remember Roma being upset about Atlanta. Obviously, Arsenal, the owners are not happy with the situation. Clubs are not happy with the situation. Will this situation happen again in another 5 years' time with the next situation? Because no matter what the solution is, it's going to keep happening.
So what's happening now for me, I was a union member for 15 years or so. And this is a much bigger and public scale. But that's what used to go on there. The workers want X. The company says, no, you're getting Y. And then strike action takes place, and you get the union reps that go in and get Z. And Z was normally, sometimes you get 60% of what you want. Sometimes you get 20% of what you want. Sometimes it was amazing. You got 90% of what you wanted. It depends who has the power play. And right now, in my opinion, as far as I can see, the big clubs have the power play because they have the monopoly of the fans. But you're right. They see people coming up behind them going, they're going to catch us in 10, 15 years. We need to do something now. And in another 10, 15 years, there'll be another issue. And then there'll be another one. And when there's money involved, there's always going to be things like this that go on. You know, when you're in a free market, when you live in a capitalist society where they have the freedoms to do this, it will happen. You can't stop it because you definitely don't want it being state run. That's 110%. Like, that'd be even worse. But it's a madness. Viewers, we want your views. We want your opinions on this right about now. But everyone who's tuned into today's show, thank you. Back live tonight, midnight vibes in the house. KJ bringing the fun and the laughter no matter what's going on. But until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you.